Hi everyone, Dr. Tran here from Color Chiropractic. I have a friend of mine and a colleague that I would love to be able to introduce you guys to because, in essence, we've worked with a couple of different clients together, but it's been so fun because we were talking the other day about New Year's resolutions, and I just had to capitalize on the idea that David Herrera is actually a personal trainer, and he's unlike a lot of personal trainers that I've met before. I'll let you guys know, and maybe it'll just evolve naturally. But what I'd like to do is introduce you to him, plug into the topic of New Year's resolutions, and I think it's just going to be something that blows your socks off. That if you are actually doing some New Year's resolutions for yourself, that this interview will really prove to help you follow through on that. So, David, welcome.
Thank you, Richard. Really appreciate you having me on, willingness to talk with me. So I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, this will be wonderful. Well, you know what? Before we get started, can you describe with us, let us know a little bit about yourself, describe what you do and the type of clients that you work with.
Okay, well, great. As you mentioned, I'm a personal trainer and wellness coach, and my focus at the end of the day is health. And so when people look at what trainers do, if they've never worked with a trainer before, they have a certain thing they might envision. They might envision a workout plan, a meal plan, and it's about excuse me, the scale. And that's not what I do. My goal is to help people be active, live an active and healthy lifestyle, and it's all movement based. So, kind of my focus is corrective exercise and functional fitness. And all that means is I want you to move well. So, regardless of what your goals entail or what your goals are, it all starts with movement. And so, a lot of what I do as a trainer, well-rounded fitness program includes aerobic training. Strength training and mobility, but I put strength training at the top of the list as the most important thing, not because it's necessarily more important than aerobic, but as we get older, we lose muscle mass, we lose bone density, and strength training does so many more things on the inside that we just are now realizing through studies and science and research. And so those workouts become really important, but they need to be in a way that is where you are, kind of where you are currently, so that you can move forward. I work with a lot of clients that have had injuries, health issues that
Mm-hmm.
allow that have kind of stop them from being able to be active and do those things. And so I program in a way that they can build that strength, build that resilience back, so that they can, enjoy a healthy and active lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's just so important. I mean, especially, going into the topic about New Year's resolutions. I was reading just, to prepare for this. It's just funny how I think it should be no surprise to anyone that during the month of December, the idea of signing up for a gym membership goes up and the attendance actually goes up as well in January. In fact, during the first weeks of January, attendance spikes about 25 to 30%. But by February, it's actually dropped by 80%. You know, and really about the third week of January, that's when you start to see the decline. So there's kind of this disconnect between the idea of being really motivated and yet having it become so challenging. So you, I know, with more of a holistic approach, have probably seen this from all sides. So kind of let's speak on that for a bit. What do you think it is that prevents people with all that stuff?
Well, when it comes to this, so we look at like the end of the year, it's the holidays, people are busy, they're wrapping up their years. And as they do that, they're thinking about the next year, those goals, maybe unfinished business, things you didn't accomplish in 2025, or maybe new things that you want to do. And so that New Year's resolution, new opportunities, right? Health and fitness is a big part of that. And so people go into the new year with the best intentions,
Mm-hmm.
but then once the reality sets in, and that's the thing when I work with people, life is real. People come to me, they've had, personal and professional stresses. They've maybe had health issues, like I mentioned before,
Mm-hmm.
injuries. It's more complicated than people think.
Yeah.
And so they are motivated, but what happens is that motivation wanes. And so that's the biggest thing I tell people is it's so important to build that discipline and habits, because I don't care, even the most motivated individual has their limits. And so if we rely on motivation, it's likely not going to happen. It's not sustainable. But when it comes to health and fitness, it's the easiest thing to put on the back burner, because if we don't do those things, maybe the negative effects, negative effects aren't initially there today or maybe next week or next month, but though over time, if we don't take care of ourselves, it does add up. And this, once again, especially as we get older and our 30s and 40s and beyond there. And so they have the best intentions. And so that's why it's really important to get anchored in those first few weeks. If they can get off to a good start, be on the right program, have that support early on, they get anchored in. And then once they start to see the results, they're starting to move a little better. They have a little more energy. Then they buy in and they hopefully will sustain that. And like you say, not have that drop off in January like so many people do.
It seems
Yeah.
like there's the idea of consistency comes to mind. I've also kind of heard about accountability types of things. Having a workout partner. Um, maybe you can speak to that. I don't know if there's a pecking order with that, or whether some things are more important than others from your experience.
No, absolutely. Accountability is there, and that's one of the advantages of working with a trainer is you don't have to do it alone. You have someone that's your biggest fan that's going to help you, and it's not
Mm.
just what you do inside the gym. Because even if you train with me 2 or 3 days a week for an hour, what are you doing for the other 165 hours through the week through your nutrition, your recovery, through your exercise? So the accountability is definitely there. The
Oh.
other thing that you mentioned was consistency, and I've always said this: the consistency beats intensity. If you go too hard too soon, you can have that burnout that can happen. And so, as you start a new exercise program, it's important to let your body have some of that adjustment period. You know, your muscles, your nervous system, your heart, your connective tissues, so that you can kind of build that foundation of that house there. But consistency is real, and I've seen people, and I tell people that I'd much rather you have if all you can do with your schedule is 1 day a week. That's all you can do, but you can do it consistently. I'd rather have you do that than say, I'm going to go into the deep end of the pool 5 days a week. I'm going to do this with my nutrition. And,
Is there a consistency with the workout? Is it better in the mornings? Is it not as good in the evenings? Is it more about consistency in general? What's your take?
well, that's an awesome question. The best workout is the one that you're going to stay with, and the
Mm-hmm.
best time is one that's going to work for you.
Mm-hmm.
In general, if you can get it done earlier in the day, that is a great thing before your day gets in your way. So those obstacles and you put it off. And for some people, they have to do that I work with because after a 9 or 10 hour work day, they don't have necessarily that energy or that desire to do that. They have a commute to back and forth to work, and so early in the day can work. But it also works in the evening and afternoons for some people. Depends on the person, the individual. In
Mm-hmm.
general, what I found is, and this is a general, it doesn't have to be that way,
Sure.
that in the morning I like more, I do strength train because I have a group that I work with, but I like to get aerobics early in the day because I find that my strength training, my physical is better later in the day for lifting. But whenever you can get it in is the most important thing. Typically, I tell people not to. I don't think it's a great idea close to bedtime to have an evening workout, because that can kind of fire you up and energize you. We think workouts make us tired, and they can, but it can also energize you. So that's the only thing I say, not late in the day, because your sleep, and that's the big thing, is when you work out, when you train in the gym, that's a stress. It's a good stress to your body, but it is stress, and adaptations happen outside of the gym when you hydrate, when you eat well, when you recover, you manage stress and all those things there.
Mm-hmm.
And so you want to get good sleep. So any time that
Mm-hmm.
would impede that, you would probably want to change up your pair or the time of day that you
Do
train.
you, do you think that individual workouts are better versus group, or are there certain advantages, disadvantages to one versus the other, safety wise
Well,
or whatnot?
yeah, well, that's a great question. And I guess the way I would answer that, it depends on the individual. Some people, let's put it this way. Obviously, we're one here. We're connecting, just you and I.
Mm-hmm.
Some people want that and need that. They want the connection. That's a big. That's very very important to me to connect with each person individually. And so having me to be there just exclusively for them. Some people enjoy that. Getting a little more deeper into the nutritional things, the recovery, inclusive for that. And so I have many clients that enjoy that, but some people they enjoy the group aspect. They love being around other people, the
Yeah.
energy of that group workout environment, and it's kind of in a group accountability, right? You all
Mm-hmm.
start together. and you have your individual goals, but you work together as a group. And I think that that team element is really important. So it just depends on the individual. Sometimes people, and that's the other thing too, as you mentioned, modifying for where people are. There's a lot of fitness classes out there, and I always say this: any trainer out there can wipe you out. We are exhausted, and you don't want
Mm,
to do anything for the next several days. That's not being a great trainer.
right.
You want to do something that makes the body get outside the comfort zone. Yeah, intensity has its place, but training smart along with training hard. And so that's the big thing there. If people jump into a group class they're not ready for, or the trainer doesn't modify them, I've seen injuries. I've heard of stories from other clients that they had a friend that joined a class and it was too much too soon. And now they're maybe out of commission for several months. And meantime, this person over here is maybe a little less intense, but they're being a little smarter about what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And now, months later, they've made that progress. And so I take that really seriously, the no harm approach there. And so I want to modify for people where they're at.
Yeah. It seems like you have a subspecialty in working with the older population. I'd love for you to kind of share with it a bit about that, even though you have a variety of clients, but also put it in the context in general of what are some of the biggest, most important safety considerations when someone is actually starting off in January?
No, absolutely. That's a great question. As you mentioned, I work with a variety of clients, but I've kind of evolved in working with older population more, and they have specific needs. The first thing, this might surprise people. Sometimes we think that maybe intensity isn't a place you go there with an older population. That can be farther from the truth, but it's a modified intensity. And the
Mm,
biggest thing that I run into back to is, and I say this is, and their science shows that people in their 70s can build strength and muscle like people in their 40s and 50s.
mm,
The challenge we get as we get older is our tires wear out, so to speak. Our
yeah.
joints, muscles are
Mm,
very resilient, but it's our joints, it's our hips, our knees, our back, our spine, those things there. And so you need to be careful how you load that. The exercise selection, modifying is really important. Range of motion, we're trying to restore a better range of motion, but you have to be careful how you do that, especially with the lower extremities. Balance becomes an enormous issue there,
mm,
and so those are some of the things. But the really cool part, and it gets me out of bed in the morning, is I've seen people even in a short time. If we have a quick second, I'll share an experience. I had a person that was in one of my group classes that was older, hadn't really lifted weights in their life,
mm,
did a little bit of exercise, and so they were coming to a class. They didn't have the ability to get up off the ground on their own, and that's important to be able to get up off the ground, right?
mm-hmm.
And so within a month of doing strength training, they were able to do that on their own. I assisted them early
Wow.
on. Within a month, they were able to be in a half kneeling position and get up on their own. And so
Yeah.
that's an example of the impact of smart strength training, what it can have in a
Yeah.
very short period of time if you know what you're doing and the person's willing to work. So
Yeah. David, what with the time we've got left, what how can people find out more about you and what you do?
thank you for asking that. My obviously David Herrera. My business name is Renaissance Wellness. My goal is to help people, serve people in the Bellingham and Whatcom community. I am on Instagram. I am Facebook. You can look at my Google reviews. There's places there. My main training center. I do some virtual training, so there's options. I have virtual training. I also do limited in-home training, and then as well, my main location is in Sutton Valley. There's a fitness center out there. So for those of you that are local, you know where that is.
Mm-hmm.
I offer free fitness consultations. So I just want to talk with you. I want to hear what your story is and what the next chapter is. And hopefully I can be part of that and help you like I've had the privilege of helping so many others.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we hadn't talked to each other in a couple of years, and then during the this time of reconnection with you, and us working with mutual clients together, it's been nothing but positive reviews about the care that you give to people, as well as the way that you are in really working with different types of populations and for their well-being. I think if anything, if anybody watching this, you're in that New Year's funk where things are starting to get bared down, or for some
Mhm.
reason that you've injured yourself, or you're not sure whether you can carry on, I think that you'd be a great fit for somebody not only with that type of intention in mind, but also if you want to look at things in the long run, because it is about what we do, not just one day, but all those different days, so that we can have a good lasting life.
I couldn't agree with you more. And one other thing I wanted to add in closing here is, I appreciate what you do. People need to know that you serve this community in an immense way. I know you have that approach. You want to see the whole picture of what it is for their health and how you can help them. And I realize that I'm a piece of the puzzle. But the other thing that I take pride in is I stay within my scope. I do have great friends and colleagues like yourself that work in the medical field, physical therapists, doctors, and so I yield to what they want their patients to do, and I take pride that they trust me, and I've received good reviews before. So I take that's really, really important to me to always do the right thing, and if I need to pass this person off to somebody else, they need somebody else, I'm quick to do that as well.
Hi, everyone. If you like what you saw, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, feel free to share, and subscribe to our YouTube station. If you have any questions or suggestions, we appreciate it. Just email us at info@colorchiropractic.com. And if you want to know more about our practice, go to colorchiropractic.com. We are Color Chiropractic, where healing is achieved through personalized care and collaboration.